Hi everyone, this is Laura Hammock from the Marble Jar channel, and in today's video I am kicking off a series called Advice from the Marble Jar Therapist. I figure I have a degree and I have lots of training and I have a lot of opinions, so why not give some advice? Today's letter is from the Productivity subreddit and is titled Husband Wants Me to Be More Productive. For the most part, I'm going to take letters from the relationship advice subreddit, but today's is under general advice and it's entitled Husband Wants Me to Be More Productive. Okay, so I'm going to read the letter now. I am a 34-year-old female, and my husband, a 31-year-old male, have been married about 2 years and together a total of 10 years. From the time we started dating to now, I've completed a master's degree and gotten a job making six figures. My husband's gotten an associate's degree and bachelor's degree and is now about to complete a master's degree, where he will also be able to get a job making six figures. My husband is very type A leader, super productive, always likes to work on projects, and is pretty OCD-like. He watches YouTube or TikTok videos constantly to learn new things. A few years into dating, he started exercising regularly and has continued to do so. I am type B, healthy work-life balance, go on trips and get beers and do fun things while also realizing that in order to have and enjoy these things, we must work. My weight kind of fluctuates and I have struggled with depression on and off since I was a teenager. I have periods of time where I will exercise and others where I do not as consistently. I know that I can be more passionate about life and more consistent with my methods, but my depression kind of holds me back sometimes despite taking medication. Over time, my husband has become increasingly more annoyed with my lack of goals and productivity. He feels I should be constantly improving and working on something to better my life. I tell him that I learn something new every day at work and I don't feel like I'm being stagnant. We're trying to start a family, so I know that will change things dramatically as far as day-to-day demands when a baby arrives. I read almost daily and listen to podcasts. I've done individual therapy in the past, which I think is good for growth. However, my husband's idea of being productive always stems around household things like decorating, organizing, deep cleaning, etc. He also occasionally sends me job postings, even though I'm not wanting to change jobs or are really looking. When I express this, he says I can apply and use the opportunity for interview practice or for leverage to ask for a raise. I make six figures. I'm not unhappy with this, and I feel I'm successful, and I have zero desire to practice my interview skills. He has made comments about how I don't really take initiative. Every day I hop off of work, he asks what's on my to-do list. Sometimes I have things to do, like errands or appointments, but sometimes I legit just want an afternoon on the couch, something that he would never understand, that I think is very normal and healthy for balance. To be honest, my husband would probably be mad if he knew I spent an entire day relaxing and not getting anything productive done, aside from basic household chores, laundry, make bed, dishes, vacuum, pet care that we do daily anyway. Unless I had reason for it, such as being sick. I sometimes have to find things to do to add to my to-do list or even have lied about doing productive things when he was out of town. I've tried to explain to my husband that just because he wants to be productive and loves projects and self-improvement does not mean that I have to want to do those things. I do not hold him back and feel I do my fair share, but it never seems like enough. In many ways, I feel he is a workaholic and never wants to do anything fun. We don't have date nights hardly ever, and we laugh a lot less than we used to. It seems he is hyperfixated on growth and can't relax. Him implying that I am lazy is to the point now that I'm starting to believe him, and this is worsening my depression. I used to think I was normal. I wonder if sometimes this is a compatibility issue. I dream of being accepted how I am and met where I am in life. Update, my husband does work full time and has to travel frequently for work and is in school. He also helps with household chores when he is home. And she signs it, Any Good 4379. Okay, hi there, Any Good. I'm a licensed couples therapist, and I thought I would provide some thoughts about your situation. But before I go any farther, let me just issue a disclaimer. I will not be using my license to diagnose anyone based on this information or any other in a post on Reddit. So what you are describing is a tough but not super uncommon situation. From what you have written, you and your husband have different ways of moving through the world. From what you say, he seems to have a more active live to work energy, and you have a more receptive work to live energy. Neither of these are wrong or bad, they're just different. The problem seems to be that he is pulling on you to be more like him. All fine. Couples influence each other, but he's doing it in such a way that lands on you as a bit critical and judgy. That somehow you should also do, work, and fix, like he is driven to do. And his pulling means that it's harder for you to spend your off time the way you want to. And in fact, you're sometimes so worried about his reaction that you lie to him about what you've done or not done, as the case may be. The tone of your post makes me think that you already know this, but these are all just preferences on how to live. He has a preference to be productive and stay busy constantly. You have a different preference. When he makes his preference into a should, you should have a to-do list. You should spend your day off deep cleaning the sofas. That's when things start to peel off. I mean, he may very well want you to have a to-do list. That's different. If he says, I'd like you to make a to-do list for your day off, you could say, I don't really want to do that. And it's just one preference against the other. But instead, he adds additional weight to his side of the scale. You should have a to do list for your day off. It makes his side more moral, better, more correct. But this is not really true. It's still just two preferences. So all of that's well and good, but we can't really change someone else's behavior, meaning you can't change your husband's behavior to be less critical or judgy. What you can do is reflect back what he might really be thinking. When he says, you should apply for this job, it'll increase your interview skills, you can say, no thanks, I like the job that I already have. It sounds like you already do this. When he then gets a little superior and doubles down with his convincing, you can say, you have a preference that I apply for this job. I have a preference that I don't. Neither one of us is right or better, but unless you have another reason that might shift my thinking, since it's about my job, I get to make the call on it. Rinse and repeat for each of these conversations. I know that this might feel a little exhausting, but the alternative is that he continues to be critical and you become more and more secretive about what you're actually doing. And eventually you're no longer walking through life together, but separately. It's way better to figure this out now before you start to drift apart. And also, this seems to be taking a toll on your own feelings of self worth. It's important that you see if this is a dynamic that can be shifted before you decide to have kids together. Two additional things worth mentioning. So I don't know if this is going on here, but I'm guessing that if your husband were the one writing in, he might have something to say about how it is that you're splitting the chores around the house. Would you agree with that? Now, here's the thing. Each partner in a relationship is going to have one, a different list of chores that needs to be done, and two, a different timeline on when to complete those chores. And the idea that chores should be equally split is just not always true. So your husband might have a huge list of things he believes should be done around the house, including improvements and deep cleaning. You might have a much shorter list. But if you're going to split the work, that list is something that you need to hash through and agree upon together. Without that, you just don't have buy-in from both partners, and then you'll have one partner nagging the other directly or indirectly to do the things that they want. During that same conversation, you will want to agree upon the time frame, and then each person should be given some autonomy to determine when to get his or her part of it done. Lots of communicating, but when there are such different styles of living, communication is required. And one last thing, you mentioned that you have struggled with depression in the past and a little bit right now. It can be really hard for someone who has not dealt with depression to know what that feels like. He may not know that it can zap your energy. He may not know how hard it is, how hard it makes things. He may also be worried about you and know that you tend to feel better when you are more active. If you and he are open to it, it might be helpful for him to hear a little bit more about your internal world and what it is like to be you. Any conversation where you can spell out the differences between you without making either of you bad or wrong is going to help with understanding, empathy, and support. Good luck to you as you navigate all of this.